When Ontario courts suspend the marijuana laws, Mark Emery, a civil libertarian known as the self-proclaimed Prince of Pot,
Prince of Pot,
sets out on a summer tour of Canada-wide public pot smoking. Believing that marijuana could be a lucrative and legitimate business, Canadian pot activists consciously promote a corporate image, complete with boardrooms, three-piece suits, and state-of-the-art marijuana inhaling devices.
Smoke more pot!
Wherever Emery goes, he's usually met by fans who immediately smoke him up. By the time he hits the stage, Emery is usually stoned out of his tree. But to his supporters, he makes even more sense.
The majority agrees it should be legal, the majority agrees it should be sold and regulated. That's no longer a contentious issue with Canadians. Who aren't convinced are the 308 people right there.
Emery has built an empire on pot seed sales with the goal of fighting the law by simply spreading marijuana.
Our slogan in 1994 was overgrow the government. I felt that if we created so much marijuana and we flooded society with marijuana, like that it was everywhere, pervasive, and also allowed us to accrue a vast amount of money, we could, if people were all idealistic like me, finance a revolution that would basically topple the system.
The amount of companies that are selling seeds, the amount of indoor grows that are going on, we just are barely keeping up.
I toured 18 cities, trying to make this a Canada-wide jurisdiction. I wanted to go smoke in every province, in all the major cities, and smoke a big, huge joint or a massive bong hit in front of a police station and dare them to arrest me.
I've got 22 convictions for marijuana. I've been arrested 17 times, jailed 13 times, raided 5 times, and I still think this is the greatest nation on earth. So, it's up to all of us to maintain that high standard that this is the greatest place on earth, and we're going to keep marijuana legal forever. Here's the marijuana!
Canada's summer of legalization is in full swing. Hundreds of gay couples from around the country flood Ontario to get married. Pot activists go into action. The Prince of Pot takes his protests to the front of police stations around the country.
Hey, celebrate your freedom!
Towards the end of June, the Michaels are the heroes of Toronto's massive Gay Pride parade. Surprising many Canadians, the government now brings in a bill to decriminalize the possession of not so small amounts of marijuana, 15 grams to be exact.
We will soon introduce legislation to decriminalize possession of small amounts of marijuana. Don't start to smoke right away.
Then the Prime Minister of Canada, dogged by a corruption scandal, announces that when he retires, he will be sitting with a joint in one hand and the money to pay the fine for it in the other. This is not the Canada that most people remember. Across the lake from America, Toronto's Kensington Market is one of Canada's most diverse and eccentric neighborhoods. Here, almost anything goes. And fittingly, a few weeks after the marijuana laws are suspended, Eastern North America's first pot cafe, the Hot Box, would throw open its doors. This is called a bring-your-own-bud cafe. You can't buy marijuana here, but you sure can smoke it.
We can do this right now. It's decriminalized.
This pot thing, it's been happening for a long time, ever since the Reefer Madness days, you know? Now it's coming back, and it's a lot stronger than before. A lot of people are doing it.
I find in my travels, at least, that as Canadians, we do smoke more pot. The police have basically, they understand that we're operating this. We've had a lot of press. We've been in every newspaper, and then they went and called police to see what they thought of the whole situation. And the police basically said, you know, we're not going to come out unless there's a reason to. So I'm thinking they're alluding to things like fighting, and I haven't seen anything like that happen here.
The surprise legalization of gay marriage and possibly marijuana is not the direct product of mass movements. Small groups of lawyers and citizens win strategic constitutional court cases and blow the doors wide open. This is Canada's constitutional revolution. But although Canadian courts are choosing freedom and rights, are Canadians.
I think more gay people are probably more excited about marijuana being legalized than gay marriage. You know, they were probably a little bit, you know, they saw that issue hit closer to home. Most of them are figuring, you know, how am I going to get married if I don't even have a boyfriend? But at least now I can like light up a joint and party and walk down the street and not have to worry about getting arrested.
Ironically, it was mainstream and probably heterosexual Canadians that appeared to be the big supporters of gay marriage.
When they legalized pot and when they legalized gay marriage at the same time, it also symbolized, it was also, we're not Americans, which is a big part of the Canadian identity, is that we're not Americans. Oh, Americans have the war on drugs. Americans are going to rewrite their constitution to make sure that gay marriage never sees the light of day. So I think that there's also that, even some people that maybe we're on the, you know, kind of on the fence. Like, I don't know if marijuana should be legalized. I don't know if gay marriage is, you know, but then all of a sudden you phrase it as, well, we're not like the Americans. Wow.
Gay marriage was legal in Ontario. However, technically, the laws against marijuana were simply in limbo. That's when Mark Emery stepped forward with a much simpler word.
Legal.
Legal. It's legal now.
As the summer of legalization continued, support for gay marriage began rippling across the country.
It was straight people who pushed for same-sex marriage in Canada, and it's just been the gays and lesbians that have picked up on making it happen.
Across the continent, it's British Columbia's turn. A few months later, French Canada, Quebec, legalized.
You know, Canada certainly is viewed now as being very cool because of, I mean, same-sex marriage. It's the third country in the world to do it, but it's the only country in the world that's made it easy for people who aren't Canadians to get married here.
Is Canada a cool country to you? Canada, wait, sorry? Is Canada a cool country to you right now? Is it a cool country? Well, it has been for most of its leadership race. We're one of the coldest winters on record.
Yeah, I think the fact that we are one of the only countries to do it, we might want to look at that and scratch our heads and go, well, maybe there's a reason for that. Like maybe there's a reason why we're one of only 3 countries to do it. Maybe we're wrong.
Anybody who thinks that gays and lesbians should be given some other word for marriage, maybe even just that they shouldn't have the freedom to marry, I say go to a wedding of a gay or lesbian couple, and I dare you to say that at the end. Like, you just won't. Because what you experience, and it's really clear just even from the Michaels wedding that so many people saw on television, is that it is in the sameness of the event that so much is accomplished.
Now upon the authority vested in me by the province of British Columbia, pronounce you wedded partners for life.
Wife and wife.
Over the years, the Government of Canada has launched several investigations into the legality of marijuana. The first concluded that marijuana should be decriminalized. The second, that it should be legal. Conservative Senator Pierre-Claude Nolan led the most recent investigation.
Now we know that cannabis doesn't cause violence. We know that cannabis does not cause criminality per se. When you look at all the various studies on the cause of crime and criminality, you'll find out that alcohol is the main substance used